Welcome to the But Also Trail Running Podcast. I'm your host, Celeste Fong. Let me start with a warning that this is an adult-only podcast. There will be profanity and indecent conversations. I would apologize, but I'm not really sorry. Today I am welcoming Evan Titus, who is the race director for the Connecticut 123-mile race. Say hi, Evan.
Hello, everybody.
First of all, thank you so much for joining. And I just want to hear all about this race. Like, where did you come up with the idea? Like, how did it start? Like, give me some history, please.
Yeah, of course. Well, first of all, thank you for being an amazing volunteer at the registration table. It took a huge load off of myself and my girlfriend so we could have a clear mind for the rest of the weekend. So again, I am super, super appreciative of all your help. In terms of how we started the race or how I came up with it, I don't know if you're familiar with the ultra runner Matt Johnson.
Then I've heard the name, but I don't know him.
He's a young guy in Austin, Texas, and he kind of is like, I think he pictures himself as like the bad boy of ultra running, where he's like smoking cigarettes and, drinking beer on his ultras. And so he's pretty crazy in terms of like, he's really fast and he has some really good performances, but he's also, not your traditional, like, I'm going to be like super healthy and super health conscious kind of guy. So he did a run across Texas. Okay. Where it took him 17 days. He was doing about 50 miles a day.
Damn.
And so this was 2 summers ago. He ran from I think it was the east side of Texas, the very east side, and then ran all the way to the west side of Texas. That was 2 years ago. Last year, he actually did across Texas north to south, which is even longer.
Oh my.
But when he did it his first time running across Texas, I saw him do that and I said to myself, if this guy can run across Texas in 17 days, I can run across little old Connecticut, third smallest state in the country. And that's exactly what I tried to prove myself that I could do. So it basically started with me mapping out my route. I used Strava and Garmin to kind of figure out the initial starting points and ending points. There was a couple different thoughts that were going through my head when I was thinking about the starting and ending points as well. Mostly, did I want to go from north to south? Did I want to go from east to west? Or did I want to try and go the longest distance possible across Connecticut, which in my mind seemed the most reasonable?
I love ultra thinking. It's beautiful.
Exactly. So the more miles, the better, right?
Right.
So I found a point at the very northeast corner of Connecticut. It's on the CT, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island tri-state border. Mm-hmm. So there's literally a little marker, and we didn't go up to this, but I was thinking about having all the runners go up to it. There's a little monument, maybe about 3 or 4 feet high, that points in the directions of all of the state capitals. So it points in the direction of Hartford and then the capitals of Massachusetts and Rhode Island as well. And that seemed like the perfect point, literally in the most northeast corner of Connecticut possible. And then my goal was to go all the way down through, the middle towns in Connecticut into Greenwich and pass through the New York and Connecticut state border. So that was my initial goal of where I wanted to go.
That's pretty epic.
Yeah, it was pretty epic. So I ended up doing this, and so this year was the inaugural year of the race. Last year is when I actually did the route myself. So I feel like it's a pretty cool thing to say when you're a race director that you did the route, kind of before anybody else did. And yeah. I got a lot of good feedback from the runners this year that they really liked that I had a special connection to the route as well. So it was very cool to see, the people take on the same course that I did. There were some slight tweaks that we can talk about, not huge tweaks. But when I did it last year, my goal was to raise money for a local charity. So the Wakeman Boys Girls Club, which is located in Southport, Connecticut. Mm-hmm. I've done some work for before, and I have a really good friend that is a program director for the club. And basically I reached out to them and I said, I want to do this crazy thing and I want to raise money for you guys. And they were totally bought in right from the start. They thought it was incredible. They had the perfect reaction of awe and supportiveness, which you don't always get when you talk to people about ultras.
Right.
Like you mentioned that you do a 100K or a 100-mile run, and they're like, "Oh, that's cool. Like that's really far." And it's like you can tell they don't really grasp like the enormity of an undertaking that it is sometimes.
It really, I mean, most people don't drive that, right?
Exactly. So I was telling people about the race, and I was telling them, it's going to be 123 miles across Connecticut. And they look at me, just, tilt their head to the side and be like, oh, yeah, that's interesting. But it literally takes you like 2 hours to drive the route. And that, a 2-hour drive is not necessarily an easy drive either.
Right.
So
And that's
doing
on a
that,
highway.
yeah, exactly. It's on a highway. So I went to the Wakeman Boys and Girls Club and I told them all about it. They were bought in and they were super helpful with the fundraising, with the marketing, and they actually got me on News 12. They have a good connection with one of the guys there. So they did a short segment on me about how I was raising money for the club. And our fundraising goal was $15,000. So I figured that was an appropriate number. Maybe $150,000 would have been more appropriate because the route that I was doing was 150 miles across Connecticut. That's what the original route was supposed to be.
Okay.
And the reason that it got changed to 123 is because as I was going through Bridgeport and into Fairfield, I had tweaked my Achilles and I couldn't run anymore. So the point where I stopped running and started walking was 123 miles. And I didn't end up getting all the way to Greenwich. 123 miles is kind of where I called it quits.
Right.
But that was, probably like 2 miles from the Wakeman Boys and Girls Club. So, which I was planning on stopping at, and there was going to be like a little, not a post-race party, but basically like a little party for me. Pit stop party is what we called it. And I ended up wanting to, make that the finish line of this year's race.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
So how much did you end up raising? This is last year. How much did you end up raising?
So our fundraising goal was $15,000 and we ended up getting slightly over that, just over $15,000. So we hit our goal and then some. And this year, all the profits of the race are going to the Wakeman Boys and Girls Club as well. So we'll be able to donate another good chunk of change to help all the kids for after school athletics and academics.
Do you have a donation link or something set up? Are you still like collecting? Like, could people donate?
Yes. Yeah. I do have that and I can send it over to you when we're done. Of course.
Yeah. That'd be amazing. Because then also send me a picture up from before the race. Like,
oh, sure. Yeah, definitely.
For social media. But yeah, because that's phenomenal. Like I always kind of liked races that do more, if that makes sense. Where, obviously there's expenses to put on a race and all that stuff. But like you're doing more. You're giving back to a community. It's for more than just you, if that makes sense. I always kind of like that. So after completing it last year, you decided, hey, let's make this an actual race this year.
Yeah. So I was debating on if I was going to try it again and do the whole thing, or if I was going to put it on as an actual race. And for a couple weeks, I was playing with the idea of doing both. And then I came to my senses and realized that putting on something that this massive probably needed my full attention.
Because it's a huge undertaking.
Yeah. It's a lot of miles to cover. It's a lot of hours, obviously for the runners, but equally for myself and some of the volunteers.
Yep.
So it's a very big undertaking where a lot of hours go into planning it and a lot of hours going into actually running it. So we're super appreciative of all the help that we got from all of our volunteers. We had some amazing ones, yourself included. And yeah, we were just very, very helpful with all the help, especially from, my family members who thought I was crazy when I told them I was going to do it last year. And they've kind of made a 180 and now they're helping other people do it.
That's amazing. That really is. So, obviously I came for the the registration, but I have to say, you're the most organized race director I have ever met.
Thanks. I don't know where necessarily that comes from. I just knew that I had a big list of things that I wanted to get done. So I came very prepared, and especially this being such a big distance and my first time ever, I really wanted to be ahead of it and on top of it. So I basically had everything down to the detail that I wanted. And the only thing that we could have done a little bit better is maybe push for a couple extra volunteers to help out through the nighttime shifts, because that was pretty tough for some of us.
Yeah, that's got to be.
But other than that, yeah, we came prepared and came ready to rock and roll.
So like before the race, you were even on top of like, okay, this is 2 weeks before the race. This is where we're at. This is the expectations. This is what's going to be needed for the volunteers. This is what's going to be needed for the runners. And I'd say, those of us who have experience, you know what I mean? Like it's a lot easier. But if this is like your first ultra, your first time taking on that kind of distance, especially, it's very overwhelming. Right?
Yeah.
Like you have no idea what to expect. You don't really you kind of know about races if you're getting into, 100 milers, I assume. But to have like everything spelled out for you kind of takes away a lot of the pressure, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think for both, for next year, for runners and volunteers, both know going into it that you're going to have like the support you need to do something like this.
Yeah. And I really wanted to support everybody because they were, everyone was basically supporting me in our inaugural year. And, I thought it was only proper to, make sure that everyone's on the same page and, all the expectations are set, especially in terms of safety. I wanted to be very, very clear to everybody, the runners and the volunteers, that this is a long course and, it's not a safe 2-mile loop around the woods. This is, unique. Every single mile of this trail is unique and you're not going to repeat anything.
Yep.
And, luckily we had no medical injuries, no medical forfeits. We did have a couple drops, but, nothing that people had to go and get to the emergency room or anything about. So overall, a super successful race. And yeah, could not have done it without the runners who signed up for the race, and nor could I have done it without the volunteers that helped.
Yeah, and see, the race, just to give some background, there's a 100K, 200K, or a relay, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
Those relay teams look like they were going to have fun, by the way.
They had a blast.
Yeah.
And a half.
Yeah, it's kind of like Ragnar across Connecticut.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I was thinking when I offered this option, because I had done a Ragnar last summer after I had done the CT-123. And I had such a great time with the team. And I really only knew one person on the team before signing up for the race and competing.
Yep.
But it was just an awesome time and an awesome experience that I wanted to offer at this race, because it is obviously long enough. But the one downside was that they went way faster than I was expecting. And I still have their medals on my desk right now. I wasn't able to get them to them in time because I was taking care of all the other runners. So they unfortunately finished, I think, at 1 and 2 a.m. respectively for our two teams. And there was no finish line, there was no signs or anything. So unfortunately, it was they were very fast, and I wasn't able to get them a proper finish. But next year I will, and it'll be a little bit more of a well-rounded event and not just focused on the 100K and the 200K.
Well, and we learn lessons, right? Every time we do anything. So lesson learned. But there's also yeah, because think about it, 123 miles, people are going to get spread out.
Oh, very, yes.
And there's going to be, if you're doing a 10-minute mile versus a 15-minute mile, 5 minutes over 100 miles is a long fucking time.
Yeah, it is. So our first place finisher, I'll explain, the discrepancy between first and last place. Our first place finisher finished around, I think it was 26 hours and 30 minutes, named Jen Higgins. She was from Old Saybrook. She did she absolutely crushed it. She was a machine the entire time. So when I did the route last year, like I said, it was a little bit different, but I did my 123 in about 27 hours, just under that. So she had beaten my time by about 25 to 30 minutes. And our very last place finisher finished in 35 hours and 40 minutes. So almost a 10-hour difference there between our top finisher in the 100K, 200K, and our last finisher. So
I mean,
yeah, it can get very spread out.
that's a long time.
Mm-hmm. And
And you have like
yeah,
rolling aid stations. I mean,
yeah,
you had aid stations. So a lot of these races will have like rolling, just like your crew is taking care of you and there's nothing on course.
mm-hmm.
But you had actual aid stations with like drop bags and like
Yeah,
volunteers and
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something that I wanted to offer. And that was just another one of the like complexities of the race, was trying to make sure that the first aid station was opened at the appropriate time, and the next aid station was able to open able to open before the first runner got there. And I think at one given time we had 4 aid stations open.
yeah, I mean, it makes
um
sense. 10 hours is a long time.
yeah, and if you think about it, I had aid stations every 10 miles. So 4 aid stations, that's open. That's 40 miles of course that was active at one time, that I needed to patrol and basically make sure that all the runners on that course were safe. So it it was a long day on, especially, I mean, Saturday night into Sunday, but long day on Sunday waiting for all those people to finish.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, luckily everyone that did finish was safe, and people that had dropped out, would let me know that they were safe as well. So, but yeah, it can be a very big discrepancy between the 200K finishers in a race like that.
And the weather Sunday kind of turned to shit, didn't it? Like, didn't it
It
start
did,
raining?
yes, yeah. Actually, it kind of turned on Saturday night. Saturday around, I think, like 4 or 5 o'clock. So kind of around this time last week, it was it was super sunny day,
Yep.
and like all of a sudden this wind had come in, cloud cover came in, and I don't know about the runners, I'm sure they were still warm, but I was pretty freaking cold just waiting at the aid station. And yeah, just from then on, Saturday was good, but Sunday ended up raining. And yeah, there was a couple torrential felt like torrential downpours for like 5-10 minute spurts, and then it would let up and then come back. So yeah, it was not the best day on Sunday last week.
And dealing with aid stations, I mean, like running in that situation sucks, but dealing with aid stations and then you got to break them down and put them up and all that
Yeah,
shit in that kind of weather, and it's cold and you're tired
yeah,
because you haven't slept.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, that's a lot that you don't think about. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm. And our aid stations were set up so that the aid stations would flip or like leapfrog every 5. So aid station 1 would flip to aid station 6. Aid
Okay.
station 2 would go to 7, 3 would go to 8, and so on like that.
Yep.
We had a total of 11 aid stations.
And the
So,
rule to have a drop bag that would be like, okay, this drop bag is for 1 and 6. This drop bag is for 2 and 7, correct?
so how I explained it to the runners was that they would, yeah, so kind of like that, but a lot of them had separate bags. Like, this is the aid station 1 bag, and then this is the aid station 6 bag.
Okay.
And I mean, they all got to the right places, so there was no problem there. But it was a challenge just to make sure that, all right, aid station 1 needs to close at this time because it needs to flip down to this one. And luckily, like I said, we only had 4 aid stations. Our the I guess the biggest gap that we had was 4 aid stations, so it was easy enough to get from 1 and then leapfrog 5 down. But I did rely heavily on the volunteers who were helping out, because the volunteers that did aid stations 1 and 2 needed to be the first 2 to flip over.
Right.
So what I did on my way up to the start line on Friday, the day before the race, was, as I was doing my course markings, I had outlined where the aid station tables and drop bags were going to go. So luckily, I had some very smart volunteers notice that, and they put the aid stations exactly where they were supposed to go with no problems in terms of losing anything, or like especially losing drop bags, because people were definitely relying on those. But
Right.
yeah, the aid stations were flipping, which made it another logistical challenge that we might change next year, depending on how many volunteers we get. Because, like I said, I did have to cover probably, I think, 4 different aid stations. So at any given time in my car, I had 4 aid stations worth of stuff. So we're thinking about another way to get that done next year.
Well, yeah, and it's like one car trying to get to 4 aid stations that are like 40 miles apart.
Hmm.
And that's 40 miles point to point. Never
Yeah.
mind, like, because some of it was like rail trail, which is a more direct route, whereas like you're
Hmm.
driving it, you got to zigzag and shit.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
huge undertaking.
yeah, so definitely a challenge. But like I said, I think we only had one missed drop bag, and we ended up getting it to him probably 5 minutes after he left the aid station. His crew got it to him, and yeah, everything else was good from there. So
Beautiful.
luckily, everything basically got off without a hitch, and we were successful in terms of the aid stations flipping, and the volunteers being a huge help with that.
It's a huge undertaking. I'm like seriously impressed that you've pulled this all out. I mean, again, as a racer, I mean, that's a huge undertaking, and this is your first time doing it.
Yeah, yeah. So it was, like I said, I really wanted to be detail oriented because of the potential hazards that this race brings, being so long, and some people reaching out to me before the race saying, "Hey, I'm going to be doing this by myself. Is there any like safety precautions that I should know?" So I really wanted to make sure that you know, everything was outlined. I also had to make sure everything was outlined because to get a permit for the airline trail, they were super, they wanted me to be super detail oriented as well, because they were asking for specific documents of my description of how I was going to use the trail, and where the money was going to, and if I was going to be using generators. So I think right from there is when I really started to be like, okay, I should really lock in with everything that I'm going to be needing and using on the course, so that any questions that anybody has, I can answer.
Yeah, I mean, even like a race like this where, a lot of the loop races, there's a lot of logistics, but you're also, once you're there, you're there.
Hmm.
But this is a very different situation because it's a point to point, so it's not even like an out and back where you could leave aid stations, or it's like blowing my mind that you pulled all this off. Like it really, it's really impressive because I was originally going to help more, but then I found out like 2 weeks before this race that I was having my entire family at my house Sunday for Easter dinner. Um,
Well, I'm sure you made a great Easter dinner, Celeste.
oh no, 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 no! My sister-in-law catered it.
Okay.
I made stuffed shells. I was like, I can't. I have too much going on. I
Yeah, yeah.
can't. But yeah, I will. It was a very good race. The course is beautiful. And again, you went across Connecticut, so you're seeing, the course also went by, like, the house I grew up in, so, like,
Yeah, that's so cool.
yeah, yeah. Had it not been Easter, I probably would've, like, gone to my parents' house and just been out there all night cheering people on.
Yes.
Because it's at the top of a really stupid hill. Because the elevation of what is it, like, 3 or 4,000 feet?
Yeah, that's right. So it's a pretty low elevation course compared to a lot of other 100 milers. So
Yeah.
honestly, it is a really good one for, first time 100 milers to try to attempt, even though it is a little bit longer than 100 miles. But, with the elevation, you're not going to get much like that at other 100 milers, because a lot of times it's in the woods and it's up mountains,
Mhm.
and those courses are beautiful in and of their own right. And ours is a great course too, especially the first 100K. And then yeah, I would say that hardest part is literally on the hill that your parents live on.
I know.
And Long Hill Road. Oh my gosh, I can vividly remember seeing the road sign of Long Hill Road when I was doing my own run across Connecticut, and just being like, of course, that this felt like it was 50% grade forever because it was foggy and rainy in my run too.
Yeah. And
And
it is straight up.
yes,
It's like
straight up.
straight up.
Yeah, you can't run up that. That thing's freaking, you hike up that thing.
I want you to know I did run up it one time.
Okay. Well, you don't run up it when you're 70 miles in.
You do not run it because it's literally like what, 72 miles in, 73 miles in is when you hit that
that's
shit.
right. Yeah.
Now I did it when I run from my house to my mom's house, which is 7 miles. Okay, so that hill at the end is mile 7. We're not talking mile 70. But yeah, that's a beautiful area too. Like you all through the orchards and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked that when I was doing it, but again, it was like middle of the night, and luckily I had somebody with me for some of my nighttime sections when I was running it, and I was basically just following in the footsteps, and I was looking to my left and my right, and seeing some of the orchards was definitely cool, but definitely a little bit creepy too when you're up there at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, not that I will ever admit to this, but people I know may or may not have gone drinking way back in those orchards and had to run away from cops.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
When they were teenagers. And I'm significantly older than you. So yeah, but I'm not going to mention who did that.
All right, we'll leave the names out of
it. We don't need to know. But so the cut 112, which is 112, but it's all trail across Connecticut, that actually goes over Bezic Mountain, which is parallel to the orchards. So if you're running through the orchards and you look to your right, that mountain right there, that's Bezic Mountain, and that's part of that's Matabesa. It's part of the New England Trail.
Got it. Cool.
Goes through there. Yeah.
And that's because I was looking into this too, making sure that this course had never been done before. But I do remember seeing the cut. Do you know where that starts and where that finishes? Like where across Connecticut is that?
Yeah. So it starts where the Connecticut-Mass border, and it Metacomet Trail. So it goes down, and I'm not going to be able to remember all the towns, but Simsbury, Farmington, Avon, West Hartford, Berlin, Meriden, Middletown.
Oh, that's cool.
It ends in Guilford. I think it hits. So it goes all the way down, right down the center, right down Metacomet until you hit the Berlin Turnpike. It becomes Matabesa. And then it goes down Matabesa until the lowest point of Matabesa, and then it hits Monongahtuck, and it goes down to Long Island Sound.
Yeah, cool.
It is beautiful. So I've done the 50 miler there, which is the last 50 miles of it from Berlin Turnpike to the finish. And I DNF'd. I did 80 miles of the 112. I was very sick, and I ended up DNFing it. But it is no joke. You want to talk about elevation difference there? The 50 miler, I think I had over 8,000 feet of elevation.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I actually just looked it up, and it says the elevation is 16,722. Yeah. So that's pretty insane that you can go from the north to the south and have it be 4 times the elevation that it is to go from the northeast to the southwest.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Well, it's a different, right? Roads are usually not as hilly. Rail trails usually pretty flat. So that's, I think, part of it. Because a lot of this is single track, trail.
Got it. Yeah.
That, though, I've done every inch of that trail a million times. It is stunningly beautiful. It's a challenge, but if you like the JFK 50, you might want to look into the cut.
I will definitely look into that, especially because it's local.
Yeah.
I'm all about that now. Because when I was planning for the CT-123, I really wanted to get more local places involved, which is why I didn't choose a big organization to fundraise for. I chose a small local organization. I reached out to sponsors that were local here in Connecticut, and basically I wanted to bring up the ultra running community in Connecticut, which is kind of what I really want to do in the next couple of years with this race. I envision this race being, another premier 100-miler on the East Coast, similar to like the Vermont 100.
Which would
So
be
that's,
amazing.
yeah, it would be amazing if we had, a bigger ultra running community and this race got to be big. And, there was a couple, I know there's like some trail series out west, having an East Coast trail series. These are all things that are kind of on my radar in the next 5 to 10 years. And, I really want to see the ultra space in New England, but especially in Connecticut in general, increase and, see a demand for that rise.
I mean, I obviously love that idea. And if there's anything I can do to help, please let me know because our community is amazing and I like to share it with people because
Yes. Yes. I 100% agree. I mean, especially when you see, the volunteers that came out to the race, people ask me like, oh, did you know the volunteers? Like, did you know the racers? I knew nobody. These are all people that wanted to help out and run all on their own. And again, super, super appreciative of everyone that did race and everyone that did volunteer. Because like I said, some people put in some pretty insane shifts, both the racers and the volunteers. So for them to want to do that was something that I am super, super grateful for.
yeah, it's always impressive to watch like the community come out and do that. So I know you're already planning for next year. What is it? April? I
It's
forgot.
going to be April 3rd is the date. I
Nice.
am for next year. Yeah, that's a tentative date. I am thinking about moving it a little bit later in the spring, maybe mid to early May, just because of weather purposes. I mean, April can be good, but it also can be bad, kind of
April
like what we
showers,
saw.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the last 2 years when I did it myself, and this year last weekend, it's had some pretty bad rain.
Yeah.
And, although it's, half the weekend was good this year, I am thinking about moving it to mid-May so we can get, a little bit of a warmer / potentially drier race. But that's still, still in the works. As of right now, the start date is still first weekend in April, which is going to be April 3rd.
All right. Well, when it gets closer, we can have you back on. We can try and get volunteers through like my social
Yes,
media and all
that'd be
that
awesome.
shit. Get runners, get everybody, you know what I mean? Get
Mhm.
people involved. I know that if I tell the idiots, my friend group, to help, they'll help because we all do stupid shit together. But yeah, so I know you have another appointment, so, I'm going to let you go. But when it gets closer, we'll, you know, get back together. We'll discuss it. We'll make sure we get it out there to as many people as possible because I would love to see this race like blow up. I would like love it because I also think it's a good because it's challenging, but not too challenging. So
Yeah,
people that
yeah, it's
want to get 100-miler under their belt, I think this is a good way to do it.
yes, I agree. I mean, it's not gonna blow up your quads like, maybe the cut would,
Right.
but it's still 100 miles. It's still challenging and you still go through some beautiful areas. So
Yeah.
it's a great race for anyone that wants to do either their first or maybe a fast 100-miler.
Yeah. Or same
And
thing for 100K. Like they want to get out
yeah,
and they don't
yeah,
want to do their first 100K. They want, or that, you know,
exactly. Yeah, same exact thing. I mean, it's a relatively flat 100K,
yeah.
2,000 feet of elevation, and it's 90% on trails. Like you never get that at any race. So yeah, both the races are awesome for people that want to go fast or people that want to go for their first.
Yeah. I love that. All right. So you're going to send me a link for anybody that wants to donate and some pictures. And that
Of
when we
course.
release, I'll put everything out there and hopefully we'll raise even more money because that's a great cause.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Evan, thank you so much for joining me.